And here we go. Good morning, everybody. Carson Meredith with you. It is 9:40 a.m., Saturday, August 3rd. Hope your weekend is off to a mighty fine start. Might have been a wet start to the weekend for some of you. Again, more downpours rolled through this morning. The end is in sight. I know I said that yesterday on Sunrise, but it is in sight, I promise, even if it doesn't seem like it. But there's still a tiny chance for a couple of downpours later today. We're going to talk about that. Got some new info on the heat that's on the way for next week. Not necessarily how hot it's going to be, but when we'll cool down again. And we're going to talk a little bit about soon-to-be-Debby, because we will have Debbie very, very soon, probably sometime today. Again, no show this morning because the Olympics. We got a bike race going on right now on Wave and NBC. So we're going to be right here this morning with you talking weather. If you're in the east end of Louisville this morning, your yard might be a swamp. It poured again, I'd say around 6:30 or 7 o'clock this morning. We said a 10% chance for a few downpours today, and by golly, it happened. But we're drying things out now. That's the live view, of course, of downtown Louisville on our SkyTrack camera from our Jeffersonville camera looking across the Ohio River. Things looking nice now as you're getting going this weekend. Let's see who's chiming in. Tracy says, good morning, on the way to Derby City Gaming downtown. Wish me luck. Good luck. May the odds be in your favor. Weather Geek says, hello. Nice not to see wall-to-wall coverage yesterday. Yes, it was nice to not have to do wall-to-wall coverage, even if there were some storms still around. It's been a busy week, that's for sure. 4 straight alert days. I wonder if that's a record. But thankfully, we don't have any anytime soon. In fact, the forecast over the next 7 to 10 days looks pretty good around here. Got a few hot days, yes, but it's August. What do you expect, right? But as far as storm chances, those are looking pretty low. Let's keep it that way. Angela says, good morning. Michael Sewell's Photography says, good morning. Charles says, good morning from Irvington. Hope all's well down in Breckenridge County, my friend. Angela says she's so sick of these heavy downpours, don't know whether to grow feathers or gills or build an ark. How about all the above? How about all the above? It seems like it this week, right? Glenda says, good morning from Bardstown. So I won't keep y'all too terribly long this morning because, again, the forecast is trending quieter, thank goodness. A few of our Kentucky Mesoneck camps show temps in the low 70s. It's warm. It is still muggy. And that's not really going away anytime soon, all right? There might be some slight relief in that humidity, maybe as early as this afternoon. But when I say slight, I mean that much, not a lot, okay? It's still going to be humid out there, so it'll still feel pretty toasty. Here's radar. And there are still a few showers around. Let me zoom in on them. This pocket of showers that stretches from Bardstown all the way down towards Hodgenville, Greensburg, Gamblesville, Lebanon, Springfield. That was a very heavy downpour that went right through the eastern suburbs this morning. I know that because I was driving into work in the middle of that downpour. It was almost impossible to see going down I-64 this morning. In fact, let me show you what it looked like. There it went, boom, last 3 hours, right through the east end. There was a little bit of street flooding as I was coming into work. I'm sure those floodwaters had receded, but, we're just so waterlogged right now, we can't take any more rain. It has nowhere to drain to, right? Let me show you the rainfall gauges from MSD, and you could see pretty well where that heavy downpour went through this morning. Look at that one gauge. I think that's near Taylorsville Road in the Snyder. Almost 2 inches of rain just this morning with that heavy downpour that rolled through. There was no lightning with it. It was just a gigantic downpour, just buckets of rain. It felt like a tropical downpour because of the humidity, of course. There's still so much moisture in place. Down near Fern Creek, about 1.25 inches. Middletown, Anchorage, close to a 1/2 inch of rain this morning. Get up towards Prospect. Thankfully, they just missed the heaviest stuff. We prospect has seen over 7 inches of rain this week. They don't need any more, especially. So yeah, it was the east end of Jefferson County, even down into Bullitt and western Spencer County, that saw very, very heavy rain not too long ago. But for the most part, we're winding down with the rain chances for a while. Thank goodness. Glenda's watching in Bardstown. Sean's watching in Taylorsville. Did you get any heavy rain this morning in Taylorsville, Sean? Probably got a little bit. Sandy says good morning. Linda, good morning from Greensburg. Tracy's watching in Salem. Leanne is all of us. I am sick of the rain. Yeah. There's always a brief time in the summer where we get into that active, unsettled MCS weather pattern, those storm clusters that just keep coming and coming and coming, back, one after the other. And I guess that was it this week, right? Well, the good news is the low pressure that was responsible for this mess is out of here. It is gone. It's up near Pittsburgh this morning. But if you look closely, there's still that little disturbance, little boundary in the atmosphere, basically right along just east of I-65. And that's what set off the downpours this morning. And that is what could set off more downpours this afternoon. Not nearly as many as what we saw yesterday. Nothing like we saw Monday through Thursday. But there's still a small chance, around 10-15%, for maybe a couple of downpours south and east of Louisville as that little boundary scoots off to the east. So I'm not going to say totally all clear just yet, but most, if not all of us, are in good shape. We just got to watch the radar as the rest of the day unfolds. Let me jump back to the local view real quick so I can show you those showers one more time where they are now. Again, Nelson County, got anybody watching in Bardstown, New Haven, Boston? Let us know if you're seeing any sprinkles out there. Greensburg, Campbellsville, light shower, shouldn't last too terribly long. Heads up Columbia. And down for our friends in Adair County, Gradyville, could be seeing a few light showers here shortly as this activity moves from the north down south. And you notice it's weakened quite a bit. So we're not worried about very heavy rain at the moment. Just good old-fashioned, quick little shower, and we should be okay, at least for the time being. But we'll still keep that 10, maybe 20% chance south and east of Louisville today. Temperature-wise, not bad, 90. It's August. That's pretty typical, right? I will say, though, if these clouds hold on a little bit longer, we don't get a lot of cloud clearing, don't see a lot of sunshine, we may be more in the 80s instead. I don't think anybody's going to complain about that, but a little caution there with that high temperature for today. Sean says in Taylorsville, got a bit, wasn't a whole lot. Yeah, it was a very narrow corridor of very heavy rain. East side of Louisville down into Bullitt and western Spencer County, west of Taylorsville, of course. Here's Futurecast. This is the very latest run that's still coming in, actually, as we speak. You notice around 3 o'clock this afternoon, if we get enough clearing, there may be a few more downpours in that little quadrant of wave cut trees, south and east of Louisville. So let's say from Bardstown down to Columbia. If you're in that little zone, maybe a few more downpours after 2 or 3 o'clock today. Again, it's a 10 to 20% chance. It's not going to be a lot, but it's something to at least watch the skies, watch your wave weather app as you're out and about across central Kentucky. So Nelson, LaRue, Hart, Green, Taylor, Marion counties, Washington, and Adair counties. That's what we'll watch later on today. Here in the city, I think we're good to go for the rest of the day. Southern Indiana should be just fine. If you live out towards Hardinsburg, Litchfield, maybe a stray shower, but pretty unlikely. It'll be this zone in particular that we will have to watch later on today. Who's also chiming in? Michelle says, these storms have set my allergies in a big flare. Pretty sure I have a sinus infection. What are we looking at for air quality And allergy info. That, Michelle, is a great question. Air quality is fine. That is not a concern at this point. So we don't have to worry about that. I don't have the allergy outlook in my show this morning, but let me see if I can pop it up real quick. Hang on. Here it comes. So it's the grass pollen that's probably giving you the trouble, Michelle. It's not as bad as it was back in June or early July, but everything's just damp right now. You know, that's probably it. Probably the mold pollen, because it is just so damp and out there, right? But as far as our main three allergens, the grass pollen's probably giving you the most trouble right now, Michelle. I hate sinus infections. I'm like you. I got allergy issues too. So hang in there. Hang in there. Charlotte says, I can't wait for 70-degree days. Ain't that the truth? Man, I am ready for it. It'll be here soon enough. Today, by the way, my friends, is 50 days till fall. 5-0. 5-0. We're getting there. So again, this afternoon, small chance for a downpour south of the parkways. Shouldn't be a big deal, but we'll keep an eye on it. We go through this evening. Downpours are gone. Clouds are gone. And Sunday looks good. This model, because it's so warm and muggy still, this model's trying to squeeze out 1 or 2 showers on Sunday afternoon. I'm not ready to go there just yet. I still have a dry forecast on Sunday, but check back with me tonight. Might have to change that. We'll see. Now, as far as the humidity is concerned, I mentioned there's not going to be a lot of change with that humidity. But there'll be a little relief. Watch. We go through this afternoon. Okay, still kind of sticky. Not great. But by 5, 6 o'clock, may just be a little muggy. So you'll still notice the humidity. And it's going to cause some heat index issues Monday and Tuesday especially. I'll talk about that in a second. But it's not going to be quite as tropical the rest of this weekend as what we've seen so far this week. Speaking of the tropics, that, my friends, is soon-to-be-Debby. Everybody say hi to Debbie. Still technically Tropical Depression 4, but you can see pretty clearly where the low pressure is. It's right over Cuba, right over Havana. There it is. And it's just now starting to get its act together. Thankfully, it's a fairly quick mover. But the problem is the track, as you can see, has shifted further to the west. Throughout the week, a lot of models had it just going right up the eastern seaboard. Maybe rain, a little coastal flooding, not a huge issue. That is no longer the case. Let me show you the latest track from the National Hurricane Center. This will become a tropical storm today, potentially. If not today, overnight tonight. You can see in blue, this blue right here, because I know the ocean's blue. Tampa down towards Fort Myers. Tropical storm warnings are in effect. And we've got a hurricane warning now out for the Big Bend of Florida. If you remember last year, Hurricane Idalia, that storm, made landfall in the Big Bend of Florida. It was either a Cat 2 or Cat 3 at landfall. I can't remember. But anyway, the same areas that got impacted by Idalia as it made landfall are going to get hit with Debby again. Now, the reason I point out that hurricane watch is there's been some models trying to suggest that this thing does become a hurricane before it makes landfall. Hurricane Center, with their forecast track, a little more cautious, keeping it as a tropical storm. A strong tropical storm, 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts at landfall at the moment. But we'll need to keep an eye on how quickly this thing intensifies. The sea surface temperatures or the water temperatures are still near record highs. So it's basically just bath water, and that is something that tropical systems love to intensify. So we'll keep an eye on that. So as you see the track, you notice it quickly moves towards Florida, which is good in the sense that it will limit the flooding risk in the Sunshine State. They're still going to get a ton of rain, don't get me wrong, but maybe not as much as they would have seen had Debby slowed down. Here's the problem. As Debby moves further north and east, crossing near Tallahassee, east of Tallahassee near Valdosta, Georgia. If you guys have ever driven down I-75, you've probably driven through Valdosta. I know I have plenty of times. Notice how Debby really slows down. Not only does it slow down, but it just meanders along the coastline. Coastal Georgia, coastal Carolina. And it's honestly that part of the country I'm more concerned about with this when it comes to flooding. If this thing just kind of parks itself as we get towards Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, we will have significant flooding in Georgia and the Carolinas. And you also see how the cone really expands into this big circle, really, as we get towards early next week. And the reason for that is because models, again, are still struggling with where this thing's going to go. There's more confidence that it's going to make landfall in the Big Bend of Florida. We're pretty confident that's going to happen late Sunday night, in all likelihood. Maybe early Monday morning, but I think it'll be late Sunday night. But the question is, where does it go as it moves inland? Does it, let me clear out my scribbles so I can draw new scribbles. Does it go further inland up the Appalachian Mountains? Does it go further off coast and then just kind of meander off of the coast of South Carolina? That's why the cone expands, because that uncertainty is higher. When the cone is bigger, then that means the uncertainty is higher with where that center is going to go. That may mean something for us, by the middle of next week. I say that cautiously. If the low of what's left of Debby goes further inland towards the mountains, we may get a few showers from it. It's a slim chance, but we'll watch it. More than anything else, the further inland Debby goes, the more of a northeast breeze that we'll get, as that low pressure, let's say, is right here near Greenville, South Carolina. That wind wraps around the low, get a nice northeast breeze. It'll cool things down. So we'll watch that. If it stays more along the coastline, as the Hurricane Center has that center track going, probably won't be quite as much of an impact. That's something we'll watch, though, as we go through the next couple of days. So that's the tropic update. Deidre asked, what about Shelbyville around 7 o'clock tonight? Taking senior pics with my daughter. Congrats to her. Senior pictures are always fun. Should be okay. Should be fine. The better shower chances are south of Shelbyville today. So should be okay. No issues for that. So that's our tropic situation at this point. When you look at the rainfall, you can see what I'm really concerned about. Don't get me wrong. The Big Bend of Florida down towards Tampa is going to get a ton of rain. 4 to 6 inches for sure, maybe higher than that. They're also going to see storm surge on the west coast of Florida. So 3 to 5 feet, that's definitely on the table. But if you look very closely near Charleston, Savannah, Georgia, there's a little pink spot right there. And that is suggesting, the European model suggesting we could get over a foot of rain along the South Carolina, Georgia coast. And that all comes down to if Debby stalls out. And there's a good indication that it will. So you're going to hear a lot more about Debby in the days to come. That's where things stand this morning. Now we'll go back local and I'll show you the 10-day. And it's not too bad, right? In general, things are looking quiet. The main issue is going to be the heat. Tomorrow's a little hotter, 92, more sunshine. The hottest days will be Monday and Tuesday, 94 Monday, 96 Tuesday. Humidity, tolerable. I don't even want to say tolerable, manageable, okay? You're going to notice it, but it's not going to be that sauna feel where you need gills to breathe kind of deal, okay? But it still could push that heat index to near 100 degrees Monday afternoon and Tuesday afternoon. So if you're going to be outside Monday and Tuesday, a lot of kiddos, last few days of summer before they have to head back to class next week, just keep that in mind. Make sure they take it easy. Now, Wednesday, I mentioned depending on where Debbie goes, that might give us maybe a few showers. I don't think that'll happen, but it could give us a northeast breeze to cool us down. However, there will also be a cold front coming into wave country from the north and west on Wednesday. That too may give us a few afternoon showers and a couple of storms on Wednesday, but that will also help to cool us down. So that's why you see the temperature drop pretty dramatically from 96 Tuesday to 88 on Wednesday. Not too bad. And once that slightly cooler air moves in, it's here to stay. Not too bad for August. Highs in the mid to upper 80s. You notice we get towards next weekend, lows in the 60s. So we can manage this, right? As long as we're not dealing with these big storm clusters. Goodness gracious. But in general, things are looking fairly quiet over the next 7 to 10 days, at least here in wave country. We'll see what Debbie decides to do, if she wants to go further inland. Maybe a little more windy on Wednesday. But more than anything else, I think it'll be that cold front that moves through Tuesday night and Wednesday that may give us a few downpours. Not a lot, but some. But it'll be that cold front more than anything else that'll give us the cool down and the quiet weather too. Back to the comments, and I'll wrap this thing up, guys. I don't want to keep you too long. It's Saturday. You want to get outside and enjoy it, right? Michelle says, I'm allergic to 7 different molds and grass and weed pollens. That explains it. Yeah, definitely. Mold pollen, especially right now because it's so daggone damp out there. Carrie is headed up to Deer Creek in Noblesville today for the Fish concert. Looks like we'll be in the clear up there, that is. Yeah, you'll be fine, Carrie. No issues at all up there. Have fun. Safe travels. Angela says sometimes tropical storms can be more destructive than hurricanes. Talking about tropical storm Allison, I think it was in 2001, or maybe it was Alicia. I can't remember. But yeah, that tropical storm dumped a lot of rain, caused significant flooding. That was near Houston, wasn't it, Angela? I think so. So that's a very good point. It's not. I think this is something that a lot of folks don't understand is the tropical storm and hurricane. You know, the names we use, whether it's a tropical storm or a hurricane, that's just based on the wind. But you've also got to think about storm surge and flooding. And I think those are the two main issues we're going to have with Debbie in the next few days. So very, very good point there, Angela. Have any info about a possible MCS setup later this week? Brian mentioned it. Yes, he did yesterday. It's still out there. We need to keep an eye on it. I will say, just looking at the data this morning, there's nothing at this time that suggests we'll be in as bad of an MCS setup as we had this past week. But the flow will still be out of the north and west. So if we get little disturbances that kind of ride that northwestern flow, then we could have some MCS trouble. But right now, it does not look nearly as alarming as it did this past week. That's why the rain chances are, that's why I cap the rain chances at 10 or 20%. There's just not much of a signal right now, but we'll watch it. We will certainly watch it. Ben asks, with the slightly lower humidity, are heat advisories Monday and Tuesday unlikely? Yeah, I don't see heat advisories Monday and Tuesday. That's a great question, Ben. The criteria, like the magic number, if you will, for heat advisories is a heat index of 105. Could there be one or two spots that get to a heat index of 105? Maybe, but it's not going to be everywhere. Most of us will see that heat index peak around 100, maybe 101, 102. Still hot. Still hot. You got to take it easy outside, but not quite to that heat advisory level for Monday and Tuesday. So no, I don't anticipate heat advisories at this point. Angela says Alvin is southwest of Houston. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that tropical storm was a monster back in 2001. That's for sure. Lori asks, is Campbellsville dry today? There's a good chance that Campbellsville stays dry, Lori, but I'll go back to Futurecast before I sign off here. And I will show you that there's still a chance for a couple of downpours in that part of the world today. If it'll load. There we go. So there's 3 o'clock, Lori. You see a couple of downpours nearby. So you are in that zone today, Lori, where you could have a few afternoon downpours. So keep that in mind. But it'll be very hit and miss. It's not a washout today for my friends down in central and southern Kentucky. Here in Louisville, we should be good to go for the rest of the day. Southern Indiana is definitely good to go. Hardinsburg, Litchfield, Tell City, 5% chance for a shower. That's about it. So hope that answers your question, Lori. Angela says, Nolan Ryan, most noble person from there. Really? The more you know. Nolan Ryan still has a crazy fastball, by the way. Brandon says, good morning. Hope all is well, Brandon. Let's see. Sean, time to go to the Street Rod Nationals. Glad weather will be bearable. That's a good word, Sean. Bearable. Definitely. If you are headed to the Street Rods, watch the skies, but I really don't see a shower chance here in Louisville today. Lori says, thanks. Glad to help. Glad to help as always. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Again, thanks for watching. Typically don't do these weekend morning updates here on Wave Weather Now, but with no newscast on the mornings because of the Olympics right now, want to make sure you still have that weather info wherever you are. We're still here working, trust me. But thankfully, we got a nice quieter weekend to enjoy. Still stay hydrated. It's going to be a little hot, but look forward to that slightly cooler weather as we get towards the middle of next week. And we'll watch those downpours this afternoon as well. Next newscast on the TV side of things is tonight at 6 on Wave News. In between all the Olympics coverage, of course. I'll be back here on Wave Weather Now this evening as well with our regularly scheduled Wave Weather Now update. That'll be around 6:45 to 7 o'clock this evening. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Have a great weekend. And I will see you guys later on this evening.